Alright, welcome back guys, welcome to your first time here. I'm Vision Hero Binary Team, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm giving you guys my reviews for Power Rangers Dino Fury episodes 9 through 11 that were released this week on Netflix. Now, if Power Rangers something you're interested in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, hit that bell icon, don't miss more Power Rangers content from me moving forward. Now let's begin. Now, I will be covering all 3 episodes in this review. However, if you want to hear my review on any episode in particular, I'll timestamp when each review for each episode starts, so that way you don't have to watch the whole video. You can just jump to that point and just watch that episode review. But first up, we got episode 9, Cut Off. Now, this was an Ollie-centric episode. And if I have to be honest, I think this has got to be the weakest out of the 3. Interestingly enough, it's the first new episode. I feel like that was kind of a bad thing in a way, because I think you'd want to have it come back with new episodes that are, more exciting. That's not to say this wasn't a bad episode. It was still a good episode. But it was just probably the weakest out of the 3. Now, this focuses on the Rangers going camping, and Ollie brings all his gadgets and everything to help with camping. Now, I was kind of confused on what the moral of the episode was going to be, because, I originally thought, like, oh, you don't need technology to go camping or whatever. But then it kind of spewed in a different direction. It was a very weird thing there. And I feel like one person on YouTube who did a review on this episode mentioned how the Rangers were being very technophobic about Ollie and his gadgets. Now, I'm going to put my 2 cents in here as to why the Rangers were doing that. Again, it's just my thoughts and whatever. But I have gone camping. I'm someone who does go camping. And part of the whole camping experience is to not have that much technology. You go out there, kind of rough it. You don't bring techno stuff. So I understand why the Rangers were kind of technophobic. So I understand that. And I agree, like, it was kind of annoying and ridiculous. Ollie's gadgets, the way he did it also kind of was, like, weird. I don't know. I just didn't really like how he came off in this episode. But you have Boom Tower and Mucus who are putting together this new plan with the Monster of the Week, Rufasa, I think it's how you pronounce the name. Or Roostfasa, I'm just probably butchering that. But they have this plan to launch this balloon that has some kind of technology connected to it that'll, interrupt any Ranger communications and teleportation. Now, this is a smart plan. Now, I gotta say this, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but these 2 episodes, along with episode 8, prove one thing. Void Knight is not an idiot. He's a smart villain. He can come up with smart techniques. So you got that, and the Rangers confront them once they find out, and they fight Void Knight and whatnot, and long enough for Mucus to get the balloon up in the air because she accidentally let it go early and had to get it out of the tree lining so it could actually work. Now they leave, and the Rangers go and return to their campsite and message Solon to try to get in contact with her. However, they can't get in contact with her, and they realize Void Knight's going into the city to search for Sporix. Now, this is a very, very smart thing. Now, there are a few little nitpicky things here that could be an issue here. Now, I understand certain things have to go on because otherwise we wouldn't have a show. But it just feels stupid, like, because it's revealed that, they hide in dark places or whatever, shadowy places. And Void Knight's just going out searching for them and finds 3 of them, I think. And here's where my little nitpicky thing comes in, is how come the Rangers aren't doing this? Like, why aren't the Rangers going throughout the city and searching for them? They just wait for one to hatch. It just comes off as silly. Along with Void Knight, like, he sends in a Monster of the Week. Why not search while the Rangers are busy fighting the Monster of the Week? Again, I know it's nitpicky, but it just kind of is an issue I have to bring up here, especially since they did it in this episode. But yeah, you got that whole thing going on. And the Rangers are trying to get back. Ollie says he can build this some kind of technology to shoot the balloon down and destroy it. Meanwhile, the Rangers say, "Look, we shouldn't be wasting time working on some kind of technology that we don't even know if it'll work." So they kind of tell Ollie, "Look, you work on, let's just head back to the city. We're gonna walk, and go fight Void Knight that way." And Ollie stays behind because his shoes don't work or whatever, because he brought some kind of technology shoe stuff. I don't know. I don't really care. However, the Rangers head off, and Ollie's working on that. However, the Rangers end up going in a complete circle and return to the campsite. Now, once there, they decide to help Ollie, build his thing to shoot the balloon down. Now, they build it, and everything goes to plan. They're able to contact Zoan, and they go into the city, fight Void Knight and the Monster of the Week and everything. And this is one thing I was really happy about. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Rangers have actually fought Void Knight one-on-one up until this episode. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure this is the first time it's happened. Which I'm very glad we got to this point here. Now, you got them fighting. Eventually, Rustafa grows to giant size. And you got Zayto, Amelia, and Ollie go up and fight it with the Megazord, while Izzy and Javi fight Void Knight on the ground. Now, I really like how they had both that happen. You had the Rangers split up instead of all of them going up in the Megazord at first. So you got them fighting Void Knight. They seem to be getting the upper hand on him. They, take him down for a few minutes, but he is able to escape with the sporks he's collected. And the Rangers go and help the rest of the Rangers in the Megazord. And they take down Rustafa, and, the episode ends pretty much there. You got the Rangers who go back to their campsite, they camp or whatever, and you got this little gag at the end. I'm gonna say it's somewhat stupid, somewhat funny. I don't know. It's one of those mixed moments with Izzy that I don't know. It does come off as cringy, but it's also kind of comical. But yeah, that's pretty much how that goes. But you also have a scene with Void Knight and Mucus where he reveals that, we might have lost Rustafa's Sporex because the Rangers got it, but we already got 3 more. So we won these ones, but we, sometimes you lose some, sometimes you win some. And that the Rangers, he has a plan and the Rangers won't even see it coming. So that's pretty much how that episode ends. Really, it's a mixed episode for me. One, I like what they did with Void Knight. His plan was smart. Ollie's thing was kind of annoying. Look, at the moment, Ollie's probably my least favorite Ranger. Granted, this is probably his second focused episode. However, it hasn't done much for me. I like Javi over him. And I really hope they do more stuff with him soon. Otherwise, I'm not going to really like Ollie, because he just comes off as annoying, somewhat like stuck up. And I don't know how you'd call it, but he just feels like a bit full of himself. I don't know. But overall, it was an okay episode. The lesson of the week was kind of not sure what it was. At the same time, I'm okay with that. I'd rather have it be not sure rather than being slammed down your head and shoved down your throat like they did for the past 10 years. So, in a way, it's fine. I would say, don't judge a book by its cover or something might be the focus, because they were against Javi's camping stuff, then it ended up helping them. I don't know. But if I had to give this episode 9 a grade, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Nothing higher. It's just an okay episode. But then we move into episode 10. Now, episode 10 is Phoning Home, and it's a Zayto episode. Now, the episode begins with Zayto sending out another message to Rafkon. Now, we saw this at the end of episode 3, and now they're bringing it back here. So, I like that. It makes sense that he'd want to send out another message. It makes sense that he's trying to get in contact and try to find out if people survived on Rafkon. And you got Zoan, who's there helping him. Now, again, I'm going to go into a small nitpicky thing. But I feel like Zoan being outside the base is a little risky. because they're in the wilderness. No one knows so on. All of a sudden, someone sees her. It's gonna freak out. There's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. So I just feel like she should have stayed inside the base. I understand you can't always have that happen, but it just looks and feels silly. That's like, what if someone showed up? They're gonna be terrified of this like dinosaur cyborg thing. Like, it's not. You think you'd get back out to the city? It'd be a whole mess. But that's like my little nitpicky thing there. But you got someone who shows up. She says she built this recipe for Rafcon food. However, Zayto reveals to her after trying it that it's actually dog food. Now I'll come back to this later because this was actually good setup for something that happens later on. But meanwhile, you got Void Knight who's created this new general, Slyther. Now, this was very cool and interesting. I like this character already. Very cool general already. Boom Tower, I really liked as well. I didn't like his name when it first came out, but I grew to like it and grew to like the character during his span on the show. But they introduced Slyther, and he's this like I would call it like kind of like magician, kind of like ringmaster kind of thing, and he's got this master of illusion. He can, transform in anybody. He transforms into Void Knight, and Void Knight actually gives him a Sporix egg, or to that way he can grow, because that's how Boom Tower was able to grow, and it gave him more power. So I like how they brought that back up here. Now, also Void Knight had downloaded him with Ranger information, and so he's tasked with the job of infiltrating the base and getting the Sporix beasts, or Sporix eggs, which is, I like that. It's another attempt to steal the Sporix, and they're trying to get into the base. Smart move again. And now, you got the Rangers, meanwhile, fighting, or doing training, which is very cool. I like how they did that. Now, while they're training, you got Slyther, who watches them from afar and realizes that here's Zayto over talking about wanting to find someone from his home planet, so he decides to pretend to be someone from his planet. Now, he ends up showing up there, and he introduces himself to the Rangers, pretending to be Arwa from Rafcon. Now, the Rangers, the Rangers kind of meet him. They try to introduce themselves, and since he has data on the Rangers, he's able to, pretend that he is that mind control thing, and read their minds. But he's just, reciting the information that Void Knight has. Now, you got Zayto decides to trust him and brings him into the base. Now, this is an area where some people got annoyed, and I'm going to try to defend it, because some people are saying Zayto was too trusting already. He shouldn't have been trusting. It was kind of a dumb move on him. But if you look at him and think about it, he is desperate to meet someone from his home planet. It's been 65 million years. He wants to meet someone from his home planet, and this gives him some hope. And this is, he's finally going to meet someone. Now, she informs the Rangers and so on that over the past 1,000 years or so, Rafcon has been able to use technology to destroy the Sporix. Now, you got Solon, who is very apprehensive here, and you got she doesn't really want to help, or she's suspicious of Arwa, and she says that she's been studying Sporix for millions of years, and she hasn't been able to find any. And then she gets suspicious because she never detected Arwa's spaceship coming into the atmosphere, and Arwa pretty much says, your technology is old and outdated, and she, tries to defend herself by trying to use some of her technology. Now, this is a little Easter egg that I actually really liked, and it's a tiny, small Easter egg, but I do want to mention it, because when she goes to try to show her technology, she accidentally puts on music, and it's a Levi Weston song. So I really liked it. I like how you got those little threads connecting the universe. Yes, we had Mick earlier in the season, but it's just kind of, you put in more threads and Easter eggs in throughout the season, connecting it to old seasons. So I really like that. But you got the Rangers, who are interrupted as, Arwa is taken into rest because she says she's tired. You got Slyther, who returns to his normal form, and he informs Void Knight that he just needs a distraction so that he can access the Sporex. So Void Knight leads an attack into the city. The Rangers head off to fight Void Knight. Now, I like how we got another roll call here. Now, one thing I like here that I don't think they have done this on the show yet or in a while, but instead of doing a roll call like while they morph or whatever, they do it during the fight. I think that was a smart move, and it makes sense in Power Rangers. Like, if you're gonna do that whole morph call, like, you'd probably be destroyed in reality. So I really like how they did that there. But they're distracted. Arwa goes out to try to get the sporks, but she's confronted by Sowan. Now this is where I said that the dog food moment comes full circle, because you got Sowan who confronts her and asks her to read her mind or whatever. Now, Zayto kind of shut her down, saying that she's a knight of Rafcon, we can trust her. However, you got someone who shows up now and gives her the food, saying, you must be famished. And you got Arwa who eats it, and that's when someone is able to realize that she's not from Rafcon, and it's actually slyther. Now this is, like I said, it's full circle with the dog food. It was set up at the beginning, and then you got the payoff here. Like, that is great writing for Power Rangers. You have a setup, and then there's a payoff. So I really liked how they set that up here. And you got at that point Arwa who teleports them out, Sowan who teleports them out, and she puts up a good fight against Arwa. Now, it wasn't a long fight, but it still showed that Sowan is somewhat of a capable fighter. She can fight and is able to handle herself against slyther for a few minutes. At which point, slyther is able to damage some of her hardware and leaves her outside the base and teleports back inside to get Sporex. Now, that's when the Rangers return, and they ask slyther where Sowan is. Now, Arwa tells them, she left there in the fight because she got upset with her. Now, the other Rangers are right away suspicious and head off to look for her outside the base. Now, you got Zayto who stays behind and is going to help her with the Sporex. Now, as they're approaching the Sporex vault, however, he notices Sowan's, communicator. Now, as he's going there, he confronts slyther and reads his mind, realizing that Arwa actually is slyther, and before he can actually reach the Sporex, he teleports slyther out. Now, the two return to the city and fight, and I really like this fight because you got some good Cody whips here with slyther. Like I said, he's a ringmaster, kind of like magician kind of character, so he's got this over eccentric kind of feel to him. So I really liked how you would use these puns and stuff like that throughout the fight. It was really cool. You got Kobe Kawai, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And he voices slyther. Now, I recognized the voice, but I couldn't pinpoint who it was, which I really love because it shows that he's a very versatile voice actor. He's like the Kelson Henderson of voice acting. So I really like that. You got some good, fight stuff. The Rangers fight him full on after the henchmen. It was a good fight. Now, once that happens, however, you got slyther who decides to grow bigger, but however they can't have Sowan send in the Zords, so Zayto has an override thing called Zayto is cool. There were a few people saying that's ridiculous, how would he come up with that 65 million years ago? Again, he comes from another planet, you don't know what's going on there. I give that a pass, honestly. But they call in the Zords and they fight a grown version of slyther. However, doing his power of illusion and morphing into other people and characters, is he morphs into Rustafa. Now, originally people were talking about this, saying it was they didn't like this. However, apparently the Rustafa episode was a two-parter episode, and there were two different Zord fights, and since they paid for the footage, they had to use this footage here, which is okay. I'm okay with that. They had to use the footage. This is a good way to go around it. slyther can, transform into different beings. It makes sense. So we got a good fight scene there. Kind of short, not much to report on. And they defeat slyther. Now, he ends up being badly damaged in the fight and is met up by Mucus at the end. Now, in beginning of the episode, Mucus wanted to be friends. You got Slyther, who kind of was kind of evil or whatever, didn't want to. Now he forgets, so Mucus kind of, pretends that that's what happened. They're friends, and they go off. Now, meanwhile, the Rangers, return to base, and, you got Zayto, who apologizes to Solon for not listening to her. Again, this is another episode where you don't totally know what the moral of the story is. Some people are saying it's like you should have listened to your elders. My reading about it was some things aren't always as good as or too good to be true. So I feel like in some ways it's up to interpretations. But at the end of the episode, again, you got them going off, and Zayto sends out another message to Rafcon, again sending off a third message, probably setting up the Gold Rangers intro. And that's pretty much it for the episode. There was some Jane and Jay Borg stuff. Annoying, similar to the last episode. They did have not much worth mentioning for episode 9. It was just this wishing well stuff that was pretty much pointless. Here, though, I want to bring it up because it was this stupid cat thing. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up is because they interrupted the Zord fight for it, and it just kind of frustrated me. It didn't really pay off anything. I know some seasons have done this, but this one was just way too annoying. But overall, this was another great episode. If I had to give this one a grade, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Solid episode. Good Zayto focus episode. Great character development for the character. Great storytelling for the character. Good setup and payoff with the dog food. Smart plan by Void Knight. Overall, great episode. Just the Jane and Jay Borg stuff, I do gotta take off points there. But overall, solid episode for episode 10. Last, we got episode 11. Now, I think myself and the rest of the fan base can pretty much agree that this is the best episode out of the 3, if not the season so far. Now, this is an Amelia-focused episode. Now, interestingly enough, for me, all of the Amelia-focused episodes so far are my favorite. I love Superstition Strikes, and this is my next favorite episode. They are my top 3 next to new recruits. But again, this is a Amelia-centric episode. It centers around her. Her Pop shows up, and he was at this old mansion. He had a job, I guess, to clean it out or fix it up, and he got spooked away from what he says is a ghost. He ends up at Buzz Blast because Jane had asked him to fix their air conditioner. So he goes up, meets with Amelia and Javi there. He tells them what happened, and you got Amelia, who's been looking for a ghost story to look at or to write about. So she decides to go and investigate against Javi's reservations and Pop's. So she goes off. Now, one thing I really love here is that they're bringing back Pop. Now, a lot of the times you'll introduce these characters and they'll show up like once and you'll never see them again. Now, we did see this with Beast Morphers where they did introduce parents and then they showed up a few times within the series. So I'm glad we're getting to see Amelia's grandfather show up again. I hope we get to see more of Ollie's mom. We have seen Warden Garcia multiple times. So I really hope that they return and keep returning. But like I said, Amelia goes out to investigate the mansion, and she ends up running into a Sporks Beast, which is what was actually there, not a ghost, of course. And the two of them end up fighting. The Rangers show up to help her. Now, her and Javi end up in the middle of the fight getting blasted by this monster's ray, which is called a mood blast. Now, the monster this week is like this mummified pyramid kind of thing. Tomb Raider, I forget its name, Tomb Skull or something like that. And she uses her mood blast and attacks Javi first, and it amplifies it, makes him like over emotional. Now, this is something I really liked. It was a very interesting monster of the week because it kind of takes your repressed emotions and amplifies them, which is a very cool power for a monster. So, Javi is decommissioned and is over emotional. The other 4 are able to fight off Tomb Skull or whatever her name is. However, during the fight, Amelia is also hit by the mood blast. Now, her mood is instantly changed to more anger and irritation. So it amplified her anger compared in this instance, and she is decommissioned as well. And again, at the moment, you got Mucus who shows up and tells the monster, you got a mission, time to get out of here. And the Rangers, are left. You got Javi and Amelia who realize that they have to get back to Buzz Blast, and the other Rangers are worried about them working under their conditions, and they go back, and Javi's still a little bit over emotional. Amelia's anger is still there, and this caused her to get angry at her grandfather, and the two of them end up getting into this fight because Amelia took his keys to go to the mansion. Now they're lost, and the two of them get into a very heated fight over her like for ghost hunting and how he's overprotective of her, and it causes kind of a rift between the two of them. Now you got the other Rangers who show up, and you got Amelia who's trying to figure out what to do about the keys. Javi shows that he has them, and Amelia realizes that she has to go apologize and bring the keys back to him. However, Zayto says, you can't do that, otherwise you'll reveal your identity. So you got Amelia who returns to the mansion morphed as, and uses like a disguised voice or whatever, like they always do. And, hands pop back the keys. And you got Pop who talks and gives a little backstory about Amelia. Now, this was a very interesting aspect because it's revealed that at some point in her life, Amelia's parents disappeared under mysterious circumstances, and Pop has been forced to be her guardian and look after her since that. So that's why he's so overprotective of her, which again, I love that. And in a way, this could be loosely, connect to why she's so interested in and somewhat obsessed about the paranormal and ghosts since her parents disappeared out of nowhere. So I really like that. It was a very interesting aspect, something you don't really see. Again, it's another missing parents thing like with Ninja Steel and Dino Charge. However, unlike it being the Red Ranger where it's like the key focus, this is the Pink Ranger. We didn't know about it, and now it's now being revealed to us, and it's now like the clear and centric thing for Amelia. So I really like that. Now, there's also rumors going around about how this could connect to Void Knight and the villains, since apparently it's also revealed that Pop worked at Area 62, which is Void Knight's base. So that's something very interesting. I really hope they bring Pop back there. Maybe like the Rangers go to confront Void Knight in his base, and you got Pop who helps them by mapping out the base or whatever. I don't know. It's just a theory there. A lot of things are theories regarding Void Knight right now. But before she leaves, you got Pop who hands her a Ranger key. Apparently, there was a Ranger key in the mansion that the monster was after, and Amelia takes it. Now, meanwhile, the monster returns to the city. Now, this is another moment I want to bring up because originally back at Void Knight's base at Area 62, Void Knight was sending the monster to go back to the mansion to find the key that they've been after. However, Mucus intervenes and says, "Look, she was able to, decommission the Rangers. Maybe she can go back out there, do it more, and kind of defeat the Rangers," which Void Knight says is a great idea, which he also goes on to say something he never thought he'd say to Mucus. Another good comedy line, and another great moment for both those characters. So, like I said, the monster returns to the city, and she is able to ambush most of the Rangers. She decommissions Izzy and amplifies her fear, and ends up decommissioning Zayto and Ollie, amplifying Zayto's laziness and Ollie's, energetic side, I guess you'd call it. And that's when Amelia shows up to help. And, of course, all the other Rangers are decommissioned, like I said. And you got Amelia who's left to fight while Javi's, tending to Izzy's over, fear. And now this has got to be my favorite moment out of the episode, maybe even the season so far. Because you got Amelia who takes out the new key and activates it using the new blazing battle armor. Now, this was an awesome scene and battle moment. And why I love this scene so much is because it's a Pink Ranger getting a good moment and actually using auxiliary armor. Now, for the most part, when it comes to Power Rangers, Pink Rangers usually get the short end of the stick and end up being like screwed over, with the exception of like Kim, Kat, and Jen, who had like a large focus. You can maybe count Cassie there as well, but for the most part, it's only really been Kim, Kat, and Jen. So giving this moment to Amelia was awesome. Like you give a Pink Ranger, a Ranger that usually is sidelined, this epic moment to use this different armor, and to fight here. And from what I understand in the Sentai, of course, it was the Red Ranger to use the armor for the first time. So this is all US footage, which is even more awesome. So she takes out the monster. The monster ends up growing. However, they are unable to call the Megazord because, of course, Zayto is out of commission. So you just got Amelia and Javi who are left to face the monster. She calls in Solon to send in the Zords. However, that's interrupted by a new Zord popping up, the Metro Blazing Zord, which, Solon tells her, it's time to combine the two Zords with the T-Rex Champion Zord. So they combine the Metro Zord and the T-Rex Zord to form the T-Rex Blazing Megazord, which is left under the control of Amelia and Javi, which is awesome. You got Amelia who's piloting the Megazord, another great iconic moment, and you got her who pretty much leads the charge in the Megazord against the monster. So this is a really great moment. They're fighting. The other Rangers out of commission. Amelia's pretty much the only one there left to fight alongside Javi, and they're able to take down the monster. Amelia uses the sword of the Megazord, I forget what it's called at the moment, to take down the monster. And like I said, the monster is taken down for the week. The Megazord, the Rangers are victorious. And, the episode pretty much ends there. Now, the one thing I was confused about is Slyther is not there in this episode. However, from what I understand now, is this episode in the Sentai aired prior to his introduction, which is a reason why apparently he wasn't. I don't care. It's a small thing. It's not a big deal, but I just thought I'd mention that here. But then you got a small little goof at the end with Jane regarding the air conditioner that Pop was trying to fix. Nothing like I'm hating on. It was just okay. It was there. I'm not going to take off any points there. It was just a small thing. But again, an awesome episode. Awesome way to end off these extra 3 episodes. Getting a Pink Ranger focus episode with some of the most iconic moments of her using the battle armor and piloting the Megazord on top of a very interesting backstory about the character. So, really solid episode. Again, if I had to give this one a grade, I'm going with a 5 out of 5. Awesome episode. All the way through. Yes, the Jane stuff was a little bit silly, but nothing bad to a point where I take off a point. So 5 out of 5. Out of all these episodes, they were all decent and pretty much all went up each time within grade. Like I said, episode 9, 3 out of 5, episode 4, episode 10, 4 out of 5, and now episode 11, 5 out of 5. All went up better and better. So all solid episodes. I love them all, but I want to know your thoughts and opinions. So let me know all your thoughts and opinions about these extra episodes in the comment section down below. So yeah, guys, that's my review for Power Rangers Dino Fury episodes 8 cut off, episodes 10 Phoning Home, and episode 11 McScary Manor. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to give a big thumbs up and share. Don't forget to hit subscribe button down below. Hit that bell icon. Don't miss more Power Rangers content from me moving forward. And you go for me on Instagram and Twitter, which is linked in the about section of my YouTube channel. As always, I'm Vision Hero Boy Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.